Well, Amorim set to fail by Ineos, and he went ahead obviously come and really say these words yesterday after we lost to the side of Newcastle by 2-0 at the Old Trafford Stadium. And most of you have been really very hopeful and optimistic that maybe the January transfer window will be what we call the redeemer of Manchester United. But Ruben Amorim went ahead and obviously dropped a stinker that most of you are not even ready to obviously take it. Welcome to this channel. Smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. And we've been linked to Nuno Mendes, Gyökeres, Corkezi and very many others. Very many players have been linked to the club of Manchester United in the January transfer window, and rumor was it Man United was obviously going to at least bring in 2 or 3 players, but Ruben Amorim has thrown a stinker. And I tell you what, I love the manager and he's really doing wonderful stuff, but will he obviously get what he wants to obviously get United out of that position? Because it's really scary. 7 points off the relegation zone, and he was posed that question to him, and I'm going to be relating, what answer he obviously had to come up and obviously reply to us. So let's see close to 200 likes on this video, and happy new year to everyone watching in this channel. And this is Rock and David commencing 2025 with a bang. And let's obviously start it off with this stinker that was dropped by the manager. And I tell you, it's the truth, but it is not something that you would want obviously to listen to. And Amorim on signings in January, he said, we don't have the possibility in January if we don't sell. You know the situation better than I do. It's not a situation where I come in and I can spend a lot of money to change the whole team. You know the situation. So he's like, they will have to sell to buy. And when you ask, do you think United can come up and obviously sell players in the January transfer window? Because even when it comes to us selling players in the summer where we have a lot of time, it's not really good. It's not really something simple, It's always a rough-edged process. That's what United does. And when the manager says we have to sell, meaning that there are players that United have to sell. And which players are those? When you look at Marcus Rashford, one of those that has been in news frequently, he is one of those that has found himself in a position of really losing out onto his suitors. And it said in the Premier League only, Arsenal have gone ahead to show huge interest in obviously signing the player from the Premier League, right? Outside the Premier League, it's Fenerbahce and Saudi Arabia. You understand? So it's very hard really for Marcus Rashford to obviously be one of those players that we can sell in the January transfer window. And the salary that he's really earning is really astronomical. £300,000 plus per week. That's what he earns, and which team is willing to obviously offer him that amount of money? You get? So that's where things are really getting in hard for the club of Manchester United. When you look at the players we can sell, if you sell Ericsson, you can get like 2 or 3 million euros. Can it do something? If you sell Lindelof, you can get like 5, But him being injury prone, maybe even teams will be like, we are afraid to obviously come close to him. Then after, when you look at the third player, Casemiro, is he willing to go to Saudi Arabia? Because I think that's where he can obviously go and really play football, and is earning £350,000 plus a week, and which team is obviously going to take him? And is Casemiro willing to obviously take a pay cut? I tell you no, because Bayern Munich had gone in for him, but he was like, are you willing to match my wage that I'm being paid at Manchester United? And looks like he came at Manchester United to do his retirement course, and when the contract really expires, he's really going to be leaving the club of Manchester United. You understand? The other player, Anthony Santos, I don't know which team can obviously sign him. I've just gone ahead to see a story of him to be loaned to a certain side. You understand? So all I want to let you know is that it's not easy, and if at all you really very considerate, it's really one of those moments that have put in a lot of effort. And worry for the club of Manchester United. So I don't know what your thoughts are about it, because we have to sell to buy. We don't have money to obviously do the needful. And this is where you ask yourself that, Ineos, please, aren't you setting this manager to fail? Because if you've gone ahead to compensate Dan Ashworth with 15 million euros, wouldn't that amount of money help us obviously go through this system? At least 15 million euros can really get us like to players, because a player like Nuno Mendes, if at all PSG want like 40 million euros, you can obviously tell them that you're going to be giving you 10 million euros in the next 4 years, or how many years, but we are obviously gonna break it, we are gonna multiply it by 4. You understand? So that is Ineos for you. And for Ruben Amorim, I feel for him, but he might have known the situation before coming in through, and he knew to it that maybe it's really gonna be hard for us to obviously sign in players in the January transfer window. But it shows you that Ineos are not doing their job, because they have to find money on signing players. You know, at least they should get this manager 2 signings in the January transfer window. But if you flip the coin, it might be one of those moments where the manager is trying to protect the board to really prepare the fans for bad news if at all things don't happen, you know. And he's this manager who doesn't want to obviously give them hope, like to give the fans hope, unless otherwise things are going to hate to happen. So as it happens at Manchester United, that no money, the managers went ahead and said we have to sell to buy. So the hopes have really gone down. We have to sell to buy, but players are there that we can sell, and if at all there is a club that can obviously take over Marcus Rashford, that is pure profit. When you sell Alejandro Garnacho, that is pure profit. And these are things that Chelsea have gone ahead to do, to obviously sell Conor Gallagher, £40 million, pure profit. Chalobah, that was pure profit. And which other player did they sell from the academy? This left back that plays for Aston Villa, that was a Borussia Dortmund, you know. I've forgotten his name. You know, he's a left back who was at Borussia Dortmund last season, and he got sold for, was it 45 million euros from Chelsea, meaning that Chelsea collected in close to 100 million euros from homegrown players. And if at all you're having homegrown players that are not good enough, let us move them on and obviously get in that money ASAP. Rashford is one of those, and we can do something good and see to it that we bring it down for the side of Marcus Rashford. So let's wait and see how things pan out. But it's really one of those moments that you can't really say no to, because no all yes to, because it can happen. Things can change. You know, on the 1st of January, the summer transfer window opens. You know, and if we are to obviously get in these players, we need to see to it that there is activity of players really leaving, and Marcus Rashford should really leave. And we don't know whether United are ready to obviously let Marcus Rashford go, because he's one of the hugest shirt sellers, you know, for the club of Manchester United, and his price tag has been really named 40 to 50 million pounds. That's what they're really calling in for. So we are waiting to see how things pan out. But Amorim has been set to fail by the Glazers, because when you look at the way we are really playing, 8 games played, 5 losses, 2 wins and 1 draw for Ruben Amorim, it doesn't look any better, because every game that we play, these players continue to look bad. And I feel for my manager, however much he's trying his best, but the players are not really even giving him what we call the bare minimums, and rather bare minimums, running. There is a photo, I don't know, let me try to obviously get it here. They sent it to me yesterday. I don't know whether I can get it, you know. Amadi Diallo got the ball, and he was having, here it is, you know, to show you that the players are not really doing enough. See this, and this is where I really fear for my manager. Look at that. Amadi Diallo had a ball here, and he was swamped by 1, 2, 3, 4 players of Newcastle. And look, do you see anywhere in Amad Diallo's vicinity where a United player is obviously showing it, obviously come and obviously help or show support. I tell you, nothing. No one was there. And that shows you that for this player, he will obviously do the needful and obviously try to do what we call a negative pass. But if we had players like 2-1 running here, it will see to it that maybe Ban will obviously make this run, and Gordon will obviously wait ahead, obviously do this, and Ahmad will be having 2 players to deal with, you know. And I tell you what, he can skip us 2 players, but however good he is and a press-resistant player with a very good skill set, how can he obviously go past these 4? You understand? So, even if it's Lionel Messi, I tell you, it's very hard for him to obviously go through these 4 players. So, that's what I'm telling you about, that the bare minimum has not gonna hit obviously be given to these players. Sorry, to the manager. And this is where we need to obviously energize this squad a little bit. And you transfer win and obviously send a message that if you cannot work hard, you don't have a place at Manchester United under INEOS. But INEOS are like, they're okay with these players and they're not addressing them because they have to know that Ruben Amorim is here to stay. And I tell you, these players might obviously come up and say, all right, we can get you sacked and let us get beaten, because Liverpool and Arsenal, if we obviously get a point or points from them, I'll be like, all right, that is good. But I'm all thinking about losses. I'm all thinking about losses from those 2 games. Southampton, Brighton next at Old Trafford. I think we can do some huge magic into the mix. So that is Ruben Amorim for you. And I tell you, INEOS is setting him to fail because the man needs money. The man needs money. He has told us that he's not going to change the system. And with him not being able to change the system, I tell you, that means he's okay with what is really going to come at him. You know, he's not going to change his system. And I tell you what, if this manager doesn't win or starting winning games and United goes to the relegation zone, I tell you, it's really going to become smelly. And I tell you what, sacking him is gonna be inevitable. But one thing I like about the manager is that he's like, I'm gonna stick to my system and I'm not gonna change it. And in his words, this is what my manager Ruben Amorim had to say. When there is a change of a coach, especially in the time of club need, is because it's not winning. In a club like this, it's because it's not winning. They were playing in a system for which they were specifically chosen. They were losing after 2 seasons, working in the system. So I have to change to a system that, he said, so I have to change to a system that I don't believe in. He said that is total crap and total nonsense. He's like, I'm not gonna change my winning formula. You know, the formula that I believe is right, you know, I'm not gonna change it. And he concluded and said, it does not make sense for me to change a system, to change to a system that these players were losing in, you know. But one thing that Amorim is really forgetting is, I really don't say that he's wrong, he's right, but one thing he has to also think about that these players once won in that system, you know. Even with Ruud van Nistelrooy, he won 3 and drew 1 in that system, you know. So the manager, Ruben Amorim, is having his point, and he has gone ahead to obviously bring his point home. That is Ruben Amorim for you. So he's sticking to the principles and he's like, I'm not going to come up and lie to you that I'm going to change the system. The fact is, I'm not going to change the system. Obviously, the club of Manchester United is gonna really put in the shift and see whether they bring him players. And that's why I told you, is INEOS setting him to fail. You know, if you don't get him players in January, it obviously see to it that he gets in a left wing back, and a right, and another number 10. I'll think that they'll be setting him to fail because he needs those players immediately. And if at all you've gone ahead, obviously watch my videos here, I've always told you on several occasions that these are the players that we need. You understand? These the most important 2 players that we need a right wing back, 1, and we also need another number 10. who is really modern and can obviously come up and obviously create loads and loads of things for the club of Manchester United, for the number 9s. I don't want to say anything about a striker. We don't need a striker, because even if you bring him, when you've not gone ahead to obviously clear those avenues of really creating him chances, he'll obviously stay in a graveyard shift. You understand? So, all I want to let you know is Amorim is having a very hard job. But one thing I like about him, he is dying to what he believes is right. And he also added on to changing the system and said that if I change the system completely and I continue to lose, it's even worse. I see things in a certain way. If I were sure that changing things would make us win, I would do it. So it looks like he's not believing in changing the system. And for me, let him do what he believes in. Because for we, who really watching Manchester United, who support it, we have our opinions that are really our own opinions. And for him, he sees things differently. You know, they've already said that the hit you feel when you are close to a burning altar, you know, is not the same hit that you feel when you're miles away from it. And they always said that a monkey is the best animal to ask about what happens in the forest. You understand? And a crocodile has the best story for what is beneath and what happens in the lake. Now, he's telling us what is happening in the lake. That is the manager. You get? And you cannot say not what he has gone ahead to say. He's obviously telling us the truth, and we should really back this manager and give him the support that he wants, because he's the crocodile that is down in the water. That is it. He's the crocodile that is down in the water, and we have to give him his flowers and see how things are really going to be panning out in the next near future. But I worry a little bit. There is a story of Casemiro. There is a story that Rene Heck ran when he was talking to VNL in the Netherlands, and he said that there are players at Manchester United whom we try to see to it that their game changes, and they are like, for us, we are not willing to obviously see our game change. You know, we are confident and okay with how we are playing, and we are going to continue playing like this. And Amorim is facing those players, you get? And I don't know whether he can obviously try to change them. You understand? So that is the most worrying bit of it, or that we are told of what happened at Manchester United, that players were like, there are some players who are like, we are not willing to obviously do what the manager is obviously telling us. We are here to obviously see to it that we really do what we think is right. And how can Amorim improve those players? And that's why I've always told you that the only way, the only avenue is obviously sell these players out of the club of Manchester United. But the big problem is these players, most of them are really on astronomical wages, and they're like, can you please compensate our contracts? You know? And that is really making it hard for us to obviously put out these players from the club of Manchester United. Then, lastly, Amorim came up and said, yes, it's embarrassing to talk about relegation as a United manager. It's also my fault because the team is not progressing and seems lost. It's embarrassing to be a Man United manager and lose a lot of games. That's what Ruben Amorim is really saying. And obviously, when he came in through, he said he has to earn time, and he needs time, but that time has to be earned. And according to how things are really happening, he hasn't gone ahead obviously earn that time, according to me, you know. But I know he can turn things around. But all I can let you know, all the fans of Manchester United, let's back our manager. Let's back Ruben Amorim. This time round, come rain, come sunshine, Amorim isn't going anywhere, because we should just tighten our seatbelts and obviously get to know that this is the pain we have to go through to obviously get to where we deserve to be. And Inos should learn from Arsenal. You get? Ineos should learn from Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp, you know, it took him how many years? 4 years to win a major trophy, you know, and ever since then, Liverpool has always gone ahead to be that top elite team in the world. Arsenal, you know, from 2019, December, you know, this guy was building, 2 seasons, Arsenal completed 8th. The third season, that was of 2021-2022, that's when Arteta went ahead to obviously find himself in a proper position to obviously take Arsenal back in the Champions League, and they competed for the trophy. 4th season of 2023-2024, he got 89 points, and Man City, I think, had 91. So he was just 2 points behind Man City. And again, this time round, he's really trying to compete with Liverpool for the trophy. So guys, for me, that's the positivity I've gone ahead to see from this. And I tell you what, it's really very important to note that as things go on, we are obviously going to be looking at what the January transfer window is. But there are players being linked to Manchester United, and I believe we are going to be making some transfers. And if we don't make those transfers, INEOS will be setting Amorim to fail, and they would have gone ahead to do us a very huge disservice. They did a very good summer transfer window, and we are waiting to see how they do things into the January transfer window. And I know, however much the managers like we have to sell to buy, the plan has already gone ahead to be put there. I know there are players that can be sold, that can create loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of income for the club of Manchester United, if at all they are sold. So guys, we are out. See you later. Rokan David is my name. Happy New Year once again, especially those in a country where I am. It has clocked midnight. It's 2025. New Year, new blessings, new content, new aggressiveness, and I promise you that I'm not gonna forsake you. Bye-bye. See you when you see me, my mates. Bye-bye for now. Happy New Year, and let's see to it that we hit 20,000 subscribers on the 1st of January 2025.